I've been using the Sony FX2 on real client work for the last 5 months, filming a documentary, doing social media ads and doing multiple photo shoots with this camera. And my conclusion is all of the hate is just unwarranted. So instead of going for a random spec sheet like most of the people that hate this camera do, I'm gonna tell you how it is in the real world with real results, apart from the documentary clips because it's still in post-production and I'm bound by contract to not show it. So my name's Tashan, I own a marketing agency, a photo studio, and I'm a freelance photographer as well, with about 15 years of experience overall, which kind of makes me sound old. So first of all, the build and design. The camera is built solid like a tank. I wouldn't drop it on purpose, but I feel like if it took a drop, it would be okay for a few falls until it started messing with stuff severely. Apart from obviously the fold out screen, which you can't really get away with. I would say that's the weakest point on the outside. These mounting points can be very useful, but they haven't come in handy for me yet. The only mounting points I've really used consistently are the tripod mounts, which are really good that it's got two, so there's no like movement on the tripod once you put it on there. I've been shooting Sony for a while now, so I love that everything is just consistent across their new cameras. Like obviously the E-mount, so all my lenses still work. They've kept the same battery, which I love, because this battery is very good, does pack a punch and keeps it small. On occasion for longer shoots, I plug it into the wall using the AC adapter or a D-tap to dummy battery and using a V-mount battery. But the battery inside goes for about an hour and a half to 2 hours of video work, and for photo shoots, it can go north of plus hours. I've done photo shoots for like 3 hours plus with thousands of images, and it's nowhere near running out yet. I've not had to change the battery during a photo shoot. I like the color of these cinema cameras, this kind of gunmetal, space gray kind of vibe. Matches my Mac, matches a few other things I've got, but I like that. The black and gray combo makes it look good. Obviously it's a cinema camera, so it's got a nice big record button here and on the front as well, which I like, as well as it's got a proper shutter button as well, which you can record with. But obviously when you're taking pictures, having a shutter button is kind of necessary. And still on the outside, the viewfinder at first, I wasn't necessarily feeling. I'm not a big viewfinder person. Even when I'm taking pictures, I don't use viewfinder, I use a screen. So having this kind of protruding out of the camera, I was thinking, I'm definitely not sure how necessary this was. They could have just made it with a smaller one and I still would have been happy. But when I was in Miami in January shooting a documentary, the sun in certain elements, like when we were out on a boat or doing other things, the sun was blazing down quite hard and the screen was very hard to look at. So you kind of squinting your eyes and trying to cover it. But with this, you just literally put it up to your eye and you've got a cinema in your pocket. So obviously no sun can get in there and you can see the image clearly and in quite a large format as well. So because of that, I actually do like it now because it came in handy. I actually needed it. And then I'm going to Dubai soon. You know how sunny that is. So I'm sure that this viewfinder is gonna come in handy for that as well. The image quality is incredible on it, just like the A7C2 and the A7 IV. Obviously they've got a very similar sensor, so you get great images out of it. Here are some examples from shoots I've done recently. You can blow them up quite large, you can crop them in, and you're not losing much quality because the 33 megapixel camera just works wonderful, which is again why I like this camera. Full frame, so you get that nice bokeh when you need it, and you get a crystal clear image as well, which is a great medium between the FX30 and the FX3, because the FX30 crop sensor just can't really work in low light. I've seen examples and my business partner used to have one and used it, and it was good in photo shoots. I'm not gonna disrespect the camera. It's good in photo shoots, it can film well, but especially in low light you can see noise and stuff like that. And yeah, that's mainly the only reason. And then obviously because it's crop sensor, all your lenses are much closer. So if you're shooting in a tight space, that may not work for you. So all my cameras are full frame cameras. Image quality in video is remarkable. Again, it's as good as the A7 IV, A7C2. I'd say it's better than the FX30. I'd say it's sharper than the FX3. So the thing is, obviously the FX3 is a great camera, but it's very expensive. And some people don't like the sharpness. I like my video to look sharp and let's just call it clinically sharp as opposed to a slight haze to it. So again, this camera is sharper than the FX3, partly down to its megapixel count, but again, it's give and take because obviously the FX3 is better in low light, and I've probably had maybe 2 situations where the 12,800 ISO would have been nice, but most of the time I wouldn't be using it. If I'm doing shoots in the studio, I couldn't use it because the megapixel count's too low. If I'm out shooting or shooting ads or videos or social media ads, I've got lights, so I don't need that higher ISO. So paying that much money for situations in a few here and there roundabouts is, yeah. Because when I've been out shooting documentaries and stuff, I've been keeping it on 800 ISO and then needing an ND filter. So that 12,800 is only coming in handy a few here and there. But again, if you're like an events videographer and you shoot a lot of stuff at night, then obviously you're gonna use that week in and week out. So it makes sense for you to get that. But I'm not gonna be using it that much. So the money is better spent on getting extra lenses and stuff. The dual ISO is 800 and 4000. So the 4000 on this does come in handy when shooting at night in comparison to the A7 IV and the A7C2's 3200 upper ISO. It is better in low light than the A7 IV and the A7C2. So they really are trying to give you a lot in this camera. When it comes to video work, one thing I love about this camera is I can embed my LUT on it. So I use a LUT called the Alastair LUT, which quite a few videographers use. It kind of like stops it down a few. So it's the S-Log3 is shooting in about 2 stops overexposed. So obviously you can bring that down and it lessens the noise. So the fact I can put my LUT in camera and see how it's gonna look when I'm coming to editing is very great, but it's not burnt into the footage. So I've still got the S-Log3 footage to do whatever I wanna do with it. But quick turnaround times, maybe for like documentaries and stuff like that, I'm grading a bit more. But if it's just quick turnaround time things, social media ads, that kind of thing, I'm just putting the LUT on it and then away we go. And that can just speed up production tenfold, because sometimes you've got a client that need ads, they need it out soon. So having to go through the rigmarole of how am I gonna grade this, it just takes all that out. I know what it looks like, I know where I'm going, I know what it's doing. This camera is obviously built for video, so it's great with the big record buttons. It's got the tally light, so I can see that it's recording from around the place. It's got the tally light on the front, so the person in front of camera can see that it's recording, which a lot of their other cameras lack because they're not mainly for cinema line. But again, it's nice to have as a hybrid shooter as well, because my A7C2 doesn't have it, A7 IV doesn't have it, and it is nice to have. I love that it's got shutter angle, so if you're switching between frame rates and stuff, want to do a bit of slow-mo, or you're doing like 50 or 60 frames and then putting it back down to 24 or 25. Obviously I'm in the UK, so we use 25 a lot. That can come in handy, just having the 180 shutter angle instead of the shutter speed where you kind of have to think what frame rate am I shooting at and then change it accordingly. You can just leave it on 180 and it's going to be wonderful all through the range. And one of the great video features is the fact that it has a fan on the camera, which is absolute godsend. I used to have an A7C which used to overheat. I had to literally buy like a cooling fan thing for the back of it, which helped and stopped it from overheating. But that could give you anxiety when you're shooting something long. And the A7 IV, I've shot long podcasts on that, and it's like very weird because sometimes it doesn't overheat, but then sometimes it does. It's very weird. I've shot for ages on that A7 IV in 25 frames a second, 4K, and it's gone for hours. And then there's other times where I've shot in the same settings and an hour down the line, it's kind of throwing up that godforsaken heat sensor warning on the screen. And then your heart starts pounding like, is the camera gonna turn off? But again, I've got 2 of the Ulanzi fan heat dissipators, which are absolutely brilliant. I'll probably do a review on that in the future because they literally cool down the camera to the point where it will not overheat. It's literally an air conditioning unit on the back of your camera. But this camera, I don't have to worry about it overheating. I can literally set it as long as it's recording. I can see it recording. I know it's not gonna shut off. It's just gonna keep going until the SD card's full. So because it's one of their new cameras, it's got the AI autofocus in it, which is wonderful. It locks onto focus constantly. Doesn't miss. You can literally see the box grabbing the eye constantly. Even when I turn around, turn back, quick snaps back. So I really like that. And on photo shoots, it's great as well, because one thing I've noticed about the A7 IV, which doesn't have the AI autofocus in, is sometimes it likes to focus on stuff in the foreground. So like if the model's legs are in front of her and her face is here, it likes to focus on the legs for some reason, rather than seeing as a facing frame and focusing on the face. Whereas this will most likely focus on the face in the image, not the thing in the foreground. I've only had it once or twice where it's focused on the thing in the foreground, and this, if I take my finger off and half press it again, it aims for the face and goes to the face. Whereas the A7 IV, I'm like half pressing it, coming off, half pressing it, and it still wants the legs, and I'm like, I don't want the legs. I want the face. The legs are like for a blur foreground effect, and it just keeps on getting the legs. So I need to like take the legs out of it, focus on the face, and then bring it down and then snap the picture, which can be a ball ache, especially when you're trying to shoot quick, you're shooting a campaign or something, you've got a lot of images to go through, a lot of outfits to go through, so constantly on certain outfits having to do that, it can be a bit annoying. And then video features, which is not dedicated to this camera, but obviously this camera can use, is the Sony monitor and control app. It broke my heart that for the multicam version now, you have to pay like £5 or £6 a month, which is unfortunate, but Sony gotta make money too, innit? Even though I bought like 4 of their cameras, they still have to make money. So, but you can still use it for free when you're monitoring one camera. So I've got it literally right down here, I'm monitoring me on my phone. That's wonderful. I use my iPad as well. When I'm doing podcasts and I've got a 3-camera setup, I'm clearly some sort of Apple fanboy or something, because I've got 2 phones, one obviously work and one was technically personal and work, but now they're both just like work phones. So I've got 2 iPhones, and then I've got an iPad Pro 12.9 inch from 2020. So when I'm doing podcasts, I literally just connect one camera to one device. So one to my phone, one to my other phone, and one to my iPad, and then just have them sat on the table. So I've got control of all the cameras in one spot, which works out well. So I don't need to pay the monthly charge. So I just have to hope that Sony doesn't decide to just charge for the app straight up, because that would kill that setup for me. But currently I've got it and it works for free, and it's 10/10 app. I love it. And using a phone rather than a monitor app makes way more sense, because it can do way more things. And the screen, I'm assuming screens on phones are better than monitor screens. So yeah. And obviously the photography is amazing. It's got the proper hot shoe on it, so I can use my studio flashes when I'm in the studio. And it's got all your photo features. There's nothing that it lacks in video or photo, especially for the price. It literally does everything that all the other cameras do. It's the only thing it doesn't have is the 12,800 ISO, native ISO, which would then take it away from being as good of a photo camera, because I think the lower megapixel count and the bigger pixels on the sensor allows the FX3 and the A7S III to shoot in low light much better. But again, it's not good for photography. 12 megapixel, it's not all about megapixel, but 12 megapixel is taking it a bit far. I think really, if you're doing proper professional photos, especially for campaigns and clients, I think minimum should be about 24 megapixel. Because once you start cropping in on a 12 megapixel image, you're gonna start seeing blurry bits and it not looking great. But this 33 megapixel, all the images are sharp, I can crop in and they're still sharp. So yeah, this is like really almost the hybrid king, almost. It is the best hybrid camera, I think, bar maybe the A7 IV, but I can't speak on that because I haven't used the A7 IV yet. But once I get one, or once I get my hands on one and I use it, then I can make that judgment. However, the A7C II, I think, is probably the king over this. Maybe not for professionals, but for most other people, like maybe you're getting there. The A7C II is what I'm filming this on right now, because obviously I wanted the FX2 in my hand for the FX2 video, is probably the best hybrid camera. It's got the same sensor in this, it's got the AI autofocus, it's nice and small, great for traveling. The A7C II is another camera I was using to shoot the documentary, and I've done loads of photo shoots on it, but it's a way cheaper price. I'm not sure how much it is in your country, but it varies. But the A7C II is about 500 or more pounds or dollars less than the FX2. So it's like you can get the same quality as the FX2 out of the A7C2. So it's up to you if you want to spend more money. I've already got an A7C2, so I didn't want to get a second one because I also hire out equipment as well. So I like a range of different equipment, so I can hire something else and I've still got cameras to do my client work. And then I use them for behind the scenes in my shoots and stuff like that. So the FX2, again, it is great. I think if I needed another, which I probably do need another camera. If I was gonna buy another camera, it would probably be an A7 IV, but failing that not being all it's cracked up to be, I would probably get another FX2, because the only bad thing about the A7C2 is it's too small. So when you're shooting for a long time, your grip gets a bit weird. Maybe if you get one of them bigger cages for it, but my cage doesn't have the grip on it. Whereas this camera, it literally just fits in your hand nicely. So when you're shooting photos for long days at events, or when you're in the studio, when you've got multiple different outfits to go through and you switch in between video and photo, this being nice in your hand, it does take a lot of strain off your hand. This just feels nice in the hand. So obviously this camera is for hybrid shooters because it's a hybrid camera. If you only do film, then maybe other cameras will be better for you. Maybe look at the FX3, maybe look at the FX6, maybe look at the FX30. Okay, scratch that. I wouldn't say look at the FX30. If you want the FX3 or the FX6 and you need that low light capability, then go for that. But if you're not going to be shooting in low light all the time and you've got video lights that you're going to be using, I would say save the money, go for the FX2 and then buy some nice lenses to go with that, as opposed to spending the 4 or 3.5 grand. I think it's coming down now because the FX3 Mark II might be coming out soon. The extra, I'm sure it's over £1,000 and dollars extra for the FX3 than the FX2, and that is a very nice lens. Or if you buy used lenses, you can get 2 nice used lenses for that. So I think that is a better option for you than going for the FX3. And what's the better option for me? I get why people compare it to the other cameras like the FX3 or the FX6 because it is in the cinema line, so it is a camera to compare to it. But again, if you're shooting photos professionally as well as video, you can't use the FX3 or the FX6 don't even take photos, but you can't use the FX3. It's just not quality enough for you to really deliver high quality work to your clients. Once you start cropping in and stuff like that, the clarity is gone. So you'll need to buy another camera, whereas this can get away with and do pretty much everything the FX3 can do, apart from the low light. But this at 4000 ISO, or if you even push the ISO higher, you start getting a bit of noise, but it still looks good. And then in your post-production, you can add some AI noise cancelling in DaVinci Resolve, and that will kind of alleviate that issue so you can get good low light out of it. But again, it's best to try and stick to the native and just add lights, add video lights. Lights are your friend. Don't be afraid to use lights. The newer HB80C is great portable light. I've got another light called the Talifo review on my page as well, which is just great out and about. Set up a quick light, and that alleviates the noise issue, especially in the highlights. And then for the shadows, you can just use noise reduction. So where there's a will, there's a way, without having to spend 4 grand. So yeah, that's it from me. The FX2 is a great camera. Forget about what everyone else is saying on YouTube that is saying they don't get the camera, it don't make sense, X, Y, Z, when they haven't even used the camera. Most people that I've seen that have used the camera love the camera. Whereas people that are trying to decide and haven't used any of the cameras or haven't used the camera yet, they're kind of hating on it. And it's not an FX3 Mark II, which I think that's where most of the hate comes from. I think people had their heart set on an FX3 Mark II, and that's what they wanted, and that's what they thought was coming. And then this camera got released. So I think that's where the heartbreak comes from, which is why they talked down on this camera, because this is not meant to be an FX3 Mark II. This is an FX2, a completely different camera. It's not the FX3 at all, even though it can do most of what that does. This is definitely better than the FX30. So it's for people in that price range. So if you think about it from Sony's point of view, they've got the FX30, which is this price. And then they've got all the way over here, the FX3, which is this price. And they didn't have anything in the middle apart from the more photo focused hybrid cameras. But a lot of people are video focused and they want the hybrid because they do professional photography as well. So that's what it is. This is the world of the content creation, the marketing agencies, things we're doing now. We need high quality photo and high quality video. And we need that in one camera, because literally some campaign shoots I'm doing, I'm literally shooting photos, photo, switch to movie. And then now I'm doing video to cut in and do reels and stuff, YouTube videos and things like that. And we need both of them things to be high quality. We can't, this gives you the best of both worlds without the absolute specialist of the FX3, which is great for video in low light. And then like the A7R5, which is like the megapixel beast, which you can crop in a ridiculous amount of times before you start to lose quality. Like they're specialist cameras on that side. This sits right in the middle and gives you the best of both. You've got the fan and all the video features from the FX3, and then you've got the higher megapixel count, which then comes slightly closer to the A7R5. So this sits perfectly in the middle because it's also full frame. I think the FX30 didn't sit in the middle perfectly. I think that's more like an A6700 competitor, as opposed to like an FX2 or FX3 or that competitor. Like these are full frame cameras, which are like for a kind of different clientele and a different customer. So that's why the FX2 is a solid workhorse for me, and I will not be getting rid of this camera. You're gonna see me using this for years to come on this channel, and if you see me out and about, if you're in the UK. So yeah, and you can drop all the hate in the comments. This is a rubbish camera. Why are you saying it's good? Did Sony pay you? I wish Sony would pay me, but unfortunately I have to pay for these cameras with my own hard-earned money. So I'll see you guys soon, probably on one of my behind the scenes of one of my shoots I'm doing. See you later.